Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include any extraneous materials on this measure.
Without objection.
I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of H.R. 7525, which establishes a definition in law for special district and clarifies that special districts are eligible to receive federal financial assistance. Many Americans receive essential services through special districts, units of local government authorized under state law to deliver specific services to communities. There are approximately 35,000 special districts across the country in every single state. Some examples of special districts are ambulance service districts, drainage districts, emergency service boards, and flood control districts, to name a few. These special districts provide critical services to mostly rural communities across the nation. The Office of Management and Budget already recognizes special districts as units of local government, similar to townships or villages. Yet special districts often struggle to compete for or access to federal funding. The Special District Grant Accessibility Act works to solve this problem and ensures that special districts are on equal footing with other units of local government. This bill requires the Office of Management and Budget to issue guidance to federal agencies emphasizing how special districts should be recognized as a unit of local government. This legislation is supported by the National Special Districts Coalition. I thank Representative Fallon and Representative Peterson for their work on this important bipartisan bill, which impacts nearly every congressional district in our nation. I urge my colleagues to support this bipartisan bill and reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from the District of Columbia is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 7525, the Special District Grant Accessibility Act is a bipartisan measure that takes a positive step forward, ensuring that federal policy better reflects the complexities of local governments and how they work. Congress confronted these complexities when it acted and to send aid to local governments during the coronavirus pandemic. This included committees Democrats' historic work with the Biden-Harris administration to provide $350 billion in direct financial assistance to more than 30 governments across the country, the vast majority of which were small local governments, and many of whom received significant assistance for the first time. This bill would provide further clarity around special districts, a special unit of local government. According to the National Special Districts Coalition, there are roughly 35,000 such special districts across the nation that play an important role in delivering essential services like wastewater treatment and fire protection to millions of Americans. Special districts have reported challenges when trying to access federal funding opportunities and have indicated that a unified federal definition of quote, special district, unquote, would help clarify how entities can best assist local communities through federal assistance programs. To address these concerns, H.R. 7525 would codify the definition of the term and direct OMB to clarify how federal agencies can recognize special districts as units of local government for the purpose of being eligible for federal grants and other federal assistance. Congress and the federal government must continually work to ensure federal assistance programs are authorized, funded, and implemented to best address the needs of local communities. This should include careful consideration of the intricacies of local governments and a rigorous commitment to ensuring federal assistance promotes equal opportunity for everyone. I appreciate Subcommittee Chairman Pat Fallon and Representative Brittany Peterson for their excellent bipartisan work and support of this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Kansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, my friend, Mr. Fallon.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank my colleague, my good friend from Kansas as well. I rise today in support of H.R. 7525, the Special District Grant Accessibility Act, introduced by myself and my colleague, Representative Peterson from the Centennial State of Colorado. Mr. Speaker, special districts are a type of local government authorized by state law which deliver specialized services to specific communities that would otherwise not be provided. In rural areas, for instance, special districts may provide fire protection, mosquito control, ambulatory services, etc. Special districts also occur in urban areas and can provide airport, road, and transit services. According to the National Special Districts Coalition, as my colleague, Mr. Turner said, from Kansas, there are about 35,000 special districts in the country, and they're in every state. In Texas, we have over 3,300 districts providing all manner of government goods and services. Yet, as these lesser-known units of government, special districts have struggled to consistently access federal financial assistance. H.R. 7525 would remedy that and would emphasize that special districts are units of local government and are therefore eligible for federal financial assistance by establishing a definition in law for special districts and requiring the Office of Management and Budget to issue guidance to federal agencies as well as grant issuing agencies. This bill also requires an OMB report to Congress on the agency's implementation and conformity to the guidance. Again, I'd like to thank Representative Peterson and the bipartisan coalition of members who co-sponsored this bill. I encourage a yes vote, and with that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Kansas reserves.
I have no further speakers, and I reserve.
The gentlewoman from the District of Columbia is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the gentlelady from Colorado, Ms. Peterson, 2 minutes.
The gentlewoman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of the Special District Grant Accessibility Act, and I want to thank my colleague, Representative Fallon, for your leadership and bipartisan collaboration on this bill. I also want to thank the advocates who raised this concern with our office and give a huge shout out to my team for doing the work to get it to this point. Special districts are local governments that are created by the people for a community to deliver specialized services. There are 35,000 special districts across the country, and this includes providing services ranging from drinking water and wastewater management to healthcare, transit, natural resource conservation, and much more. This bipartisan bill will ensure federal policies better reflect the complexities of local government by creating a federal definition. I didn't realize that there were so many barriers at the local level to actually drawing down those federal funds when it comes to community block grants, child care services, and even transportation needs. We also saw significant barriers when it came to the pandemic and the ARPA funding that was going down to help support communities through that difficult time. So we know that this is very important. It is a small step forward, but it's going to make a big difference for people across Colorado and the nation, and I urge your support. And with that, I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentlewoman from the District of Columbia reserves.
Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Kansas is recognized.
I have no further speakers. I'm prepared to close.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from District of Columbia is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, again, I support H.R. 7525, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from Kansas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge my colleagues to support this bipartisan bill to emphasize that special districts are eligible for federal financial assistance. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. The question is on, will the House suspend the rules and pass Bill H.R. 7525? All those in favor say aye. Those in favor say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Mr.
Two-thirds
Speaker.
being in the affirmative, the rules are...
Mr.
For what
Speaker.
purpose, gentleman from Kansas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays being requested. All those in favor of taking the vote by the yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20. Further proceedings on this question will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentleman from Kansas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass the bill S. 2073 as amended.
The clerk will read the bill. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Senate 2073, an act to amend Title 31 United States Code to require agencies to include a list of outdated or duplicative reporting requirements and annual budget justifications and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. LaTurner, and the gentlewoman from the District of Columbia, Ms. Norton, will each control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on this measure.
Without objection.
I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every year, numerous laws require federal agencies to produce thousands of reports, with a single report costing tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars. While many reports help inform Congress and the public, some are outdated and duplicative. With nearly 100 agencies issuing annual reports as required under law, there is a great opportunity for cost savings and improving government efficiency by addressing outdated reports. Agencies are already required to compile lists